party all night like tonight. Are you ready? Are you ready? It's been a long time since we partied all night like tonight. Are you ready? Are you ready? I am ready. Represent for the ladies hanging outside, taking it light. Early is coming back. Tell me if you're ready. Break it down for the fellas, moving and smooth, keeping it tight. You know I'm coming back. Tell me if you're ready. Represent for the ladies hanging outside, taking it light. Early is coming back. Tell me if you're ready.
Lesson on the beat.
Sway.
Banger.
I'm amped up for this tango. Now you see where that chain go. Chain gang off that mainframe for my main thing like Django. Bout a nigga like Shango. Old school with that can't go. Right hand on my buckle, bitch. Left hand, hang low. Whip part, but it swang though. Do you know what that 6P do? Just fly up like a fool in the truck and you lanes can't figure how the pain bleed through. Wave on the track like a 6C do. Chip look mean and the drip see through. I'ma get mad on this beat till you niggas running for your van at the feet. Talking to your man when you see him in the street. I ain't no less, had to bless. Play so hard you can feel it in your chest. Make it what it do, now your crew wanna ask what's next. I'ma break it down. Time by the boatload with the fofo till you no show. And I'm puffing on that cocoa till I go slow. If you sleep, motherfucker, take no dose. Better keep it low pro. If you wanna fake how the folk go, catch you on the track, run it down on the home stretch. Motherfucker, go it on top like Flojo. Till you know mo. Saying it's a no go. All real in the game when you find out that you so-so. Move so fast in advance like dudes in the dub and you moving in slow-mo. Oh no. You on life support, let it breathe, cuz pain is long and life is short, just let it be, cuz. And I don't feel for you, you gotta play the game. Welcome, fight fans, greetings all. What's going on, y'all? This is Lesson. Right next to me, the man, the place to be, Manny Z. DMVCS in the Clinch.
Clutch.
Every Sunday night, you know how we do, 8 p.m. on WLVS Radio, listenvisionlive.com, worldwide. That's where you can catch us. We want to thank you guys for taking a little bit of time out of your Sunday evening once again, as you always do, and blessing us with your presence, as you know, man. Of course, man, we're here. And we want to make sure you guys are following us on Twitter, DMVCS on, at DMVCS on Twitter, also at DMVCS2 on Instagram. Make sure Facebook you're following us, like our page, DMVCS Radio, and Google+, YouTube page, DMV Combat Systems. You know what we do. We put our shows up there. After every week, you can check out some of our past shows, see some of the stuff we done. So, big weekend, Manny. We had UFC Fight Night in Austin, Texas last night, Edgar versus Swanson.
Indeed.
And then also a fight in Macau, China. It was a bout between Manny Pacquiao and Chris Algieri. We're going to recap
that
both.
was about?
Yeah, that was about. We're going to recap that and, of course, look back at all the MMA news, rumors, and event recaps. Big news out of the UFC and Bellator coming up, man. Of course, we are heading straight into Thanksgiving weekend. We will not be live next week, guys. We will have a replay for you. We'll be live back on December 6th to look at a UFC 181 at that point. It will be Hendricks versus Lawler 2 and also Pettis versus Melendez. So we're going to get into that, man. Of course, we're coming up. Make sure you guys are following us, though, on Twitter. Now, we start each week as we do, always with the news. And this one, a bit of a story coming out of Bellator between two light heavyweights. Now, the root of this is the story that was reported with MMA Junkie earlier this week. The root of Muhammad Lawal's disdain towards Tito Ortiz comes from an unbecoming Instagram photo posted by Ortiz several months ago. Now, the photo has since been deleted, but King Mo wanted to keep the memory close. He wanted to wait for the perfect time to throw it back in Tito's face. When the former UFC champion mentioned King Mo's name at Bellator 131, the opportunity arrived. King Mo said he posted 2 pictures of gorillas fighting, saying it was me versus Quentin Jackson. He told MMA Junkie Radio, I kept the photo. I'm like, this dude thinks he's slick, but I'm going to check him. I'm going to find the right time to check him, so I kept it on my phone. I didn't want to say something to him during fight week, but I thought after the fights were over, it would be a perfect time for me to say something to him. We've seen how quiet he was. He can't really say nothing. Now, King Mo is 14-4, 6-3 in Bellator MMA. Admits he always carried Ortiz in high regard. Both of them wrestlers have somewhat comparable fighting styles. However, now Mo said he used to respect Tito for everything he's done to build the sport. Now, he said the photo, though, convinced him to push for the fight against the UFC Hall of Famer. He said, people think Mo's trying to start something. He's like, I'm not. This dude's starting something by mentioning my name. If you've seen every interview I've done prior to this incident, when they asked about Tito, I've said good things. I've never said anything bad about him, period, because I know he didn't want to fight me. But as soon as he opened his mouth and mentioned me and talked my name, and then I was like, all right, if you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. Now, King Mo defeated Jova Depot by TKO at Bellator 131, while Tito edged Stefan Bonner by a split decision in the event headliner. As the two most well-known members of Bellator's 205 weight class, there aren't many realistic options outside of each other. So it seems logical that they would fight sometime in the near future. Now, King Mo says he thinks that Spike may be interested, but he doesn't think that Tito's really that interested. He said if you look at his answers, he's just fake and bogus, and he thinks he's a tough guy, but he's really not. King Mo went on to go to say, he said, Tito, just be a man. If you don't want to fight me, then just say you don't. I ain't gonna be mad as long as you bump your gums and talk about me, then you might as well fight me then. Don't be no bitch. You can call me hood or ghetto or whatever. Call me what you want, but I ain't no bitch like you. Now,
yeah, and you're not making it personal.
Yeah.
That's not trash talk.
Yeah.
That's not basically coming at this man and leaning on him.
But don't be no bitch is what he said about it.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dog. I ain't got nothing about you, man, but I'm just saying, don't be no bitch though. Like, for real. You know, I ain't no bitch like you. I'm not a bitch like you.
Why, again, this still sounds like you call
crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, those are what we call fighting words.
You think?
You know, don't be no bitch. Wow. So we'll see if this King Mo and Tito affair actually materializes. May be interesting to see, though, with two guys that have similar fighting styles to fight up against each other. Now it's personal. I got to say, though, Manny, the two gorillas fighting, though, a picture of that on Instagram. Like, really, Tito? Really? Two gorillas fighting? And then you're going to say that's him and King Mo and Rampage? And they ain't deleted the photo. Like, come on, dog. Why you delete it? I mean, you put it out there, so you must have met it at some point in time.
I think his way he's basically trying to pull a John Jones pretty much with this quote-unquote epithet. But, again, it's like, own up to the shit. You did it. You put it out there. And you know, social media, it ain't like you and I when we came up. There ain't no takebacks.
Yeah, right. And Mo said he kept the picture, and he said, I'm going to check him when I get the chance. So
best believe
we'll
see him.
We'll see if Mo gets a chance to check Tito. Now, coming up in UFC 184, another bout added to the card, Manny. It will be Josh Koscheck taking on Neil Magny. That is going to be at February's UFC 184 event on the undercard of Chris Weidman, Vitor Belfort. Now, that is the report coming out this week. They said it will be at the Staples Center on February 28th. Now, Koscheck's been away from almost a full year away from competition. He was a cast member on the original season of The Ultimate Fighter, reached the pinnacle of his career when he falls short against George St. Pierre in the welterweight title bid, and he struggled as of late, dropping 3 straight fights, and he's done it to the best in the division. Johnny Hendricks, Robbie Lawler, and most recently Tyron Woodley in November 2013. That was last year. Now, Koscheck turns 37 later this month and is in need of a victory. Meanwhile, Magny was a cast member of Ultimate Fighter 16, but didn't appear long for the promotion after going just 1-2 in his first 3 fights. However, he since turned in one of the best calendar years of any fighter, picking up 5 wins, including one over William Marcaro, Alex Garcia, Rodrigo Goyana de Lima, Tim Means, and Ghassan Umaltov with 5 wins heading in 2014. So here's what the card looks like, Manny, for UFC 184. Weidman and Belfort, Ronda Rousey and Kat Zingano, Frank Mir versus Antonio Silva, Yoel Romero versus Jacare Souza, and Josh Koscheck versus Neil Magny. So Koscheck getting back into the fray now after being away for a year. 3-fight losing streak, and you start piling them up, and eventually the writing's on the wall for you at some point in time.
Well, I mean, I kind of thought the writing was on the wall when T. Wood basically knocked him into another year.
Yeah.
And you and I saw that knockout.
We did.
He made him have a seat, and then, here's another one.
Yep,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why I was just like, Koscheck, you're coming back at 37 years old, and you're going to be in the top 10 of the welterweight division? Nah.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, things happen. When you get that old and you start to pile up consecutive losses, to when Dana starts to sit down and have that talk with you, like, look, buddy.
Well, yeah.
It's either one or two things.
He was on the second season of The Ultimate Fighter.
The debut season, the first season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
He's fighting a guy who's almost, I would say almost now, about 10 years is a junior. And it's going to be tough, man. So it's going to be tough. I think the last victory he had was he went over Matt Hughes.
Hey, how long ago was that?
And that was a while ago. We'll see what happens with Koscheck. Now, UFC flyweight John Moraga needs a new opponent now on short notice as Jussier Formiga has now been ruled out of UFC on Fox 13. They learned earlier this week that Formiga would not be able to compete on the card. Now, there is not a confirmation of why he cannot. One would say that it might be for an injury. Now, UFC on Fox 13 is going to feature Junior Dos Santos taking on Stipe Miocic. It's be December 13th at the US Airways Arena in Phoenix. Now, Moraga is a former UFC title challenger, rebounded from a TKO loss to top contender John Dodson due to a doctor stoppage for a knee to a nose and a submission victory over Justin Scoggins at UFC Fight Night 50. The 30-year-old Arizona-based fighter is now 2-1 since the 2013 title loss to reigning champ Demetrius Johnson. Formiga, meanwhile, started his UFC career on a 1-2 mark, then included TKO losses to Dodson and Joseph Benavidez. However, the 29-year-old Brazilian, who was previously regarded as the world's top 125-pounder prior to the UFC's adoption of the weight class, has since posted back-to-back wins over Scott Jorgensen and also a decision over Zach Makovsky. So UFC on Fox 13 looks this way, Manny. Junior Dos Santos versus Stipe Miocic. Nate Diaz versus Rafael Dos Anjos. Alistair Overeem versus Stefan Struve. That's another rescheduled bout. Gabriel Gonzaga versus Matt Mitrione. John Moraga against a to-be-named opponent. And also Brian Barberena versus Joe Ellenberger. So now Moraga needs a new opponent. We will see what that will be on December the 13th, right after UFC 181.
Indeed.
Now, everyone, before we get to that, man, we want to make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at DMVCS. Make sure you tweet us tonight. We are not only talking about UFC and boxing tonight, but Survivor Series is tonight. We want to hear your thoughts on that. Now, all the rumors, man, you're saying that a big star is coming out and is going to debut. All the talk and everything is saying that it's going to be Sting.
You mean to tell me there's not a bigger star than Grumpy Cat when he was on Raw last week?
Yeah. Yeah. So.
I wasn't ready for that shit. I was just like, Grumpy Cat?
Some of the WWE stuff is so bad now that it's just like, you know what, I've sort of tuned out on it now. But I am paying attention towards the pay-per-views as always.
Well, yeah. Last month when they had Nene Leakes on Raw, I really don't understand what she has to do with pro wrestling.
It's like, damn it, man. Like, Paul Levesque or Vincent McMahon, what crack are you smoking? Get these writers to write some better shit.
Inhaling, injecting. I don't know.
So, anyway. Now, everybody's former MMA fighter turned criminal has now been scheduled for trial now, Manny, and this is what happens. The man formerly known as John Copenhaver, War Machine, has pled not guilty this week.
The hell you say?
To a variety of charges stemming from an attack over former girlfriend Christy Mack and her friend Corey Thomas. Now, he appeared in Clark County District Court this week to enter the pleas. The fighter remains incarcerated, faces 34 felony counts, including strangulation, sexual assault, kidnapping, coercion, and burglary. Now, War Machine had a brief stint with the UFC following his run on The Ultimate Fighter 6. He most recently fought in October 2013 when he suffered a loss to Ron Kessler in the semifinal round of Bellator Season 9 welterweight tournament. On August 8th, War Machine allegedly assaulted Mack while in her home with Thomas. According to the report subsequently unsealed by Clark County, Nevada District Attorney's Office, the assault left Mack with 2 missing teeth, a blowout orbital fracture, a lacerated liver, swelling, and bruises. After a brief manhunt, he was arrested on August 15th at a hotel in Simi Valley, California, after being found with a small quantity of cash and some pizza. Now, he was later extradited to Nevada to face the charges levied against him. In October, he attempted suicide but failed. In a note reportedly written prior to the attempt, he said, "Society has killed men and that he was never meant to live in this era anyway." Yeah.
Just for our listeners out there who are listening, just what exactly the blue hell does that mean?
Yeah. Well, first of all, he tried to kill himself and he failed at the attempt to kill himself.
He took the pussy way out because he knew that there was no way out of this shit.
Yeah, this is Just something else, though. Now, he has pled not guilty, will be on trial in February. But the photos and the stuff that we have seen across the internet and the MMA news sites about this thing, I mean, this guy is absolutely coco. I mean, he is absolutely, cuckoo is what he is.
He's as crazy as homeless cat shit.
Yeah, so that's what's done with War Machine. So he has his date with the courts coming up in February. We will see what happens in Clark County, Nevada, with the man formerly known as John Koppenhaver. Big surprise. We normally don't talk about stuff here. Whenever we talk drug tests here on In the Clinch, Manny, we always talk about the suspensions happening after fights or random drug tests. We're actually announcing a pass here on In the Clinch as the first. And the reason why is just because it's Vitor Belfort, okay? Yes, this is news. Yes, this is news.
I'm sorry, I can't get my laughter in.
So Vitor Belfort now, his middleweight title challenger, passed a random drug test administered by the Nevada State Athletic Commission in advance of his February title fight against Chris Weidman. Now, the NASC originally passed the test off to California State Athletic Commission, where UFC will be in California. The Nevada Commission reversed course and elected not to conduct its own random testing. Elected to conduct its own random testing. Now, it is the second such test that Belfort passed after agreeing to random testing as a condition to the license that he fight in Nevada. He's also expected to undergo random testing by the CASC, which is vowed to verify the ex-champ will fight clean.
And rightfully so.
Yeah. Now, Weidman, 12-0, 8-0 in the UFC, defends his title against Belfort at UFC 184 on February 28th at the LA Staples Center. Weidman and Belfort were originally supposed to meet at UFC 173 before Belfort was pulled from the card in the wake of the NASC's ban on testosterone replacement therapy, which Belfort was a multi-year participant, and also Weidman went on to fight Lyoto Machida, earned a unanimous decision. Belfort will enter UFC 184 on a 15-month layoff after being out since his November 2013 win over Dan Henderson. So he passed his test from the NASC. I'm glad that they actually decided to randomly test him because he was suspended with them. And now the CASC will be testing him as well. They're going to try to make sure that Vitor fights his fight clean.
Well, yeah, because he can't sit there and go into this title fight with Chris Weidman with his balloon muscles out of a syringe, thinking that, I got my one-stop, shot to get to the title. And Weidman already said, whether you're doped up or not, oh, man, I'm putting you out of my sport.
Right, exactly. So congrats to Vitor. He has many more to go in order if he's going to fight. So now we talk a little business news here. And look at outlooks for Zuffa LLC, who, of course, Mandy, is the parent company for the UFC. Now, the injury bug has played a big role with UFC this year. A lot of fights have been put off. A lot of pay-per-views have been affected by this. A lot of big events they expected to get a lot of viewership for. Now, that happening and the march forward and the global front is taking a toll on earnings. According to the S&P, they issued a report saying that they were downgrading Zuffa. And they said that their earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization is expected to drop 40%, 10% higher than originally forecasted. Now, the report said that the steeper decline is primarily due to a change to a marquee fight in the fourth quarter of 2014, a result of another fighter injury causing anticipated pay-per-view buys and event ticket prices to decline further. Now, they said the fighter's injury is not mentioned, though several could qualify in a year that's been probably the first since 2012 for injury withdrawals. Now, UFC 180 lost Cain Velasquez earlier this year. 181 lost Chris Weidman. Johnny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler was moved to the main event of that card after that was expected to be an earlier rematch. And also a co-main event with Anthony Pettis and Gil Melendez. Yeah. Now, in August, they were forced to cancel UFC 176 when Jose Aldo injured himself in a rematch with Chad Mendes before a rematch. Now, it was rescheduled for October. Now, that announcement came two days after a major UFC press conference that announced an entire 2015 schedule, which calls for 45 events on pay-per-view across its platforms and with broadcaster Fox on its UFC Fight Pass digital network. Now, Dana White said they're working on a revamped version of a long-running reality competition series, The Ultimate Fighter, and doesn't work with international versions of the show plan to continue. Now, they said the drag on earnings will be harder to maintain its credit rating on a $535 million senior secured credit facility. However, an increase in business next year should improve its leverage. Right now, it was downgraded from BB to BB minus from BB. Higher ratings would be dependent upon contractual broadcasting revenue. Of course, and it's unlikely over the next few years that they would consider higher ratings that they believe Zuffa can sustain the debt. Now, of course, they didn't immediately respond to a request for a comment. So a lot of injuries causing some problems with the UFC's earnings this year, because a lot of fights have been bumped off of cards and cards have been moved and things have been rescheduled, and that's just part of the game, though. But it's been a tough year in that respect for the UFC.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times when they do the media marketing, let alone the media days for a lot of these pay-per-views and the UFC Fight Nights, it's already booked up. So, when your top guy who's supposed to headline the show pulls out, then you end up with that pay-per-view like they had that last time I told you.
Exactly.
About 2 months back, it was like they just went around the mall just picking like, hey, you want to be an Ultimate Fighter?
Come on and fight. Yep. And the 176 actually canceled a pay-per-view. That really hurts, man. So we'll see the UFC 45 events next year they're planning on having. So it'll be a very,
big announcement.
A very ambitious year. But that's our news for this week. Of course, when we come back, guys, we're going to talk UFC Fight Night, Edgar versus Swanson. Of course, make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at DMVCS. Also following us on Instagram at DMVCS2. And then also make sure you guys are following us on Facebook, DMVCS Radio. We'll be right back, talk Edgar and Swanson when we come back at DMVCS in the Clinch.
Let it build. All up on the cash. It's all good. Let it build. Ah, yes, let's begin. Lesson on the lyrics in the track once again. Yeah. If your head nod and run back and tell a friend, snares pumping with the soul clap, the strings make it blend. I'ma hold this meeting, let your eardrums attend. Please. Just a minute for my real G's on this depends. Rhyming since I'm 13 and ain't shit changed. Set the game and its many moves allow me to explain. We went from hip hop, rapping, flossing, then trapping, hustling and turned up. What the hell is happening? Hey. Everyone's a rapper and some niggas skills is lacking. Kill it off and resurrect, creeds to assassin. Punch it when I double up. Why the hell you asking? Guns blazed, ante up, cold as ice and aspen. Back to bring the game back. Oh, you didn't know? New age now when I'm outlaw. Double X to the throne. Now let it build, let it build, let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build, my nigga. Just let it build, let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build, my nigga. Just let it build, let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build, my nigga. Just let it build, let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build, my nigga. Just let it build. All I'm hearing now is yap, yap, yap. Then it's followed up by trap, trap, trap. What the fuck is that? Yup. Copying ass niggas on the game, it's on repeat. It's like you niggas scared to let it build, right, and then compete. Yeah. And then we got these soft ass niggas between the sheets. True. Pillow fighting with clouds and feathers and talking sweet. And me, I got some heat for the streets with some banging beats and bass lines and great rhymes to make it complete. I'm constantly on my hustle, but I'm not a trap star. I'm in my lane, maintaining speed like a track star. It's on and popping from here, cause ain't no stopping, it's clear. I'm elevating, do waiting, no faking without a peer. No placating, forsaking this game for these rappers here. Just shake and bake, no mistaking, I'm breaking these jokers clear. You want me to dumb it down, you clown? Then here it goes, step your game up, get your weight up, and let it flow. Now let it build, let it build, let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build, my nigga. Just let it build, let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build, my nigga. Just let it build. Let it build, now let it build, let it build, my nigga. Just let it build, let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build. Now let it build, let it build, my nigga. Just let it build, let it build, let it build, let it build, let it build.
What up? We are back here in the Clinch. Much, much better. Boy, lesson in here with the man to my right, the man, the place to be, Mandy Z, as always. Every Sunday night, we are here. DMVCS in the Clinch. Here on WLVS Radio, ListenVisionLive.com. Thank you guys for spending some of your Sunday evening for us. I know you guys are making travel plans to get on that road for Thanksgiving. Get in those airports. We want to make sure that you guys travel safely and get to your destination safe, and then also get back here safe as well. So, last night in Austin, Texas, UFC Fight Night, Edgar versus Swanson, Manny, and this was one of the first events that they've had in quite some time at the UFC back in Austin, Texas, and people were out to watch this fight. The main event on the card, the featherweight bout between Frankie Edgar and Cub Swanson, Now, this was an event that was big for Cub Swanson because he was on a roll.
Yeah, he was.
But we all know what happens. Frankie Edgar, the veteran, the crafty veteran, Frankie Edgar, who was there, and grinds out wins better than anybody that we've seen in this division or in these weight classes, the lower weight classes. He's the guy here. It was a lot of ground and pound, a lot of takedowns, what we saw from Frankie last night. I mean, just literally. Ooh. Yeah, and this is a guy, Cub Swanson, who was good with his hands. Got a couple of decisions coming up over the last few weeks, but Frankie just again, imposing his will by getting a lot of it's almost like it's on repeat what you see last night.
Yeah, because every single round was takedown.
Yeah, takedown. And you saw him. He did this over a period of 4 rounds into the 5th round where this is what Frankie does. He pushes the pace for, if he needs to, 25 minutes, and he will fight it out for 25 minutes. And more of it again is here, even in the stand-up, Frankie striking there, and then goes for the takedown once again. And he had this fight. This was a unanimous decision victory, and an impressive unanimous decision victory for Frankie Edgar. But what he does with 4 seconds left in the fight, he submits Cub Swanson with a neck crank. I mean, talk about digging out a submission when you know you got it on the judges' scorecards. But Frankie Edgar, impressive over a guy, Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson, who was on a 6-fight win streak, actually. Most recently, a unanimous decision over Jeremy Stevens at UFC Fight Night on June 28th. But that was Frankie Edgar. Once again, we've seen what he's done. And this is a guy who, I definitely think will be a UFC Hall of Famer one day.
Oh, no question. I mean, he's the guy that ended the myth of BJ Penn.
Yeah, so and what we've seen him again, his 3rd straight win now. Last win over BJ Penn, which was the Ultimate Fighter 19, finale. Also, a win over Charles Oliveira. But that's what BJ does. He pushes the pace. The guy, Cub Swanson, that we know has some power to knock some guys out. Also very good on the ground. But Frankie, in control last night, Manny. I mean, just pushing the pace.
Again, wrestling 101, you grind your opponent out.
Yeah.
You can't stop the takedown, and you know it's coming. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah. And this was over 5 rounds. I mean, this wasn't something that
he just did.
That it was just a back and forth fight. This was something that he used and just collected points. Everything that you need: octagon control, on the ground, stand up game. Frankie did it, man. And now Cub Swanson was a guy who was number 2 in the featherweight division. He was hoping for a title fight. And now Frankie said, earlier this week, I'm going to take his title fight. And, hey, when you put on a performance like that last night, why not, Frankie? Why not get him another shot at the strap, man? But that's just pure UFC and mixed martial arts veteran right there, a guy that when you've been in the octagon and in the cage and standing up with the gloves on for a while, is how you get it done, man. That's how you get it done.
Yes, sir.
So, also on the bout, lightweight bout between Edson Barboza and Bobby Green. Now, this was interesting. Before this fight, the Bobby Green was imploring for Edson Barboza to come forward, and boy, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's what he did.
And this was a dominating performance here by Barboza.
Up kicks.
Getting Bobby Green able to get takedowns, but then you see his up kicks right here, like fighting that off. And you saw more just what he was able to do. Just really setting the tone, striking, coming forward, those kicks, those high kicks, and good combinations here. Bobby Green wanting him to come forward, and that heel kick right there just kind of did it. And
that motherfucker like American Ninja.
Yeah, and for 3 rounds this happened, and escaping the takedowns. There were no more takedowns after the early going, and another kick right there. What you see in this slow motion right there, just
back of the
brutal.
Heel to the head.
Back of the heel to the head, and Edson just came to fight that night.
Yeah.
Bobby Green wanted him to come forward, and that's exactly what Edson did.
Yeah.
He came forward, and that's what you see what happened. It was a unanimous decision victory for Edson over Bobby Green last night, and you saw that he came ready to fight last night in the lightweight division. So this is something that we see now. Barboza, who is now his 2nd straight win in the UFC after knocking out Evan Dunham at UFC Fight Night, Cerrone and Miller in July this year. Now went over Bobby Green. Now Bobby Green mentioned now is 28 years old now, and this is now after he was on quite a win streak now. Heading from his days in Strike Force, he had piled up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 consecutive wins. The most recently a split decision over John Thompson at Lawler versus Brown in July, and then a win over Pat Healy as well as James Krause and Jacob Volkman, his UFC debut. He had won 4 straight coming in and now loses it to Edson Barbosa. So his streak is now done. And Barbosa came prepared last night, went forward, and just effective striking all night long after the 2 original takedowns you saw early in the first round, just domination over 3 rounds by Edson.
Well, yeah, I mean, just Bobby Green's learning as he goes deeper in his MMA career. That whole trash talking like the Diaz brothers, doesn't fly with everything.
Yeah. And what we had last night was a good fight and a good performance last night through with Barbosa in the lightweight division. Also on the main card, a flyweight bout between Chico Camus and Brad Pickett. Pickett ranked, Camus not ranked. It was a split decision between Camus and Brad Pickett. This was something that it seemed like it was that Pickett was upset, and this was a back and forth fight that we had as well. Really, to me, it could have gone either way. But I think what you saw in the later rounds is Camus making his presence felt and getting a few key things there to really lock down the victory. And yeah, I mean, this was something that you saw over 3 rounds with these guys. This was a back and forth fight. You saw highlights for both fighters here. And really, when you look at the highlights, it doesn't really tell the whole story of just how, you looked at this fight. And a lot of people may have thought that Pickett may have won. Pickett himself thought he won.
I thought Pickett.
But you see here, just to complete, he was upset, man. And that's what happened now. Camus is now 29 years old. This was getting back on the winning track after losing to Chris Holdsworth at UFC 173. He also had a no contest against Yeltsin Mesa, the UFC on Fox Henderson versus Thompson. So a bit of a controversial decision, but that was his debut at flyweight, Chico Camus as well. Now, Brad Pickett was ranked number 11 before this bout, and he now has his second straight loss after losing to Ian McCall at UFC Fight Night between McGregor and Brandao July 19th. So, tough decision there. Last bout that we had on the main card is involving Joseph Benavidez and Dustin Ortiz in the flyweight division. Benavidez, of course, twice losing to Demetrius Johnson.
Again, can you fault Mr. Demetrius
of course.
Johnson?
Now, he had an impressive victory tonight as well. Got a unanimous decision after really pressing the pace against Dustin Ortiz. This is his second straight win in the UFC. Did it by way of unanimous decision, 30-27 all across the board.
Nice high kick.
But looked very good. He did, and you're encouraged to see that. He won his last fight against Tim Elliott by submission of guillotine in the first round, 4-weight in the first round. That was at UFC 172 in Baltimore, and he just threw really good, throwing that overhand right, just really got him going.
Yeah, I mean, you see that throwing that thing like a snow shovel.
Yeah, there you go. Just got it. Yeah. And it just, boom, just keeps giving. Just keeps on giving. There we go. So impressive for him last night. So that's where we stand at with with Benavidez over Dustin Ortiz. Now, additionally, here was a Matt Wyman having a unanimous decision over Isaac Valley Flag in the lightweight division. Interesting card last night in Austin with Frankie Edgar being dominant last night against Cup Swanson. And the next main UFC event that we will have, Manny, will be actually UFC 181 Hendricks versus Lawler 2, something that we saw the original 171 have been waiting for ever since that bout ended.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were on the edge of our seats at that main.
Yeah, and you got to like the chances of this fight turning out a lot like the first one. Hendricks being out after almost 6-7 months of injury, and Robbie Lawler having to defeat Matt Brown along the way in order to get, and also Jay Gellenberger along the way in order to get his rematch with Johnny Hendricks. Also on that card will be Anthony Pettis versus Gil Melendez for the lightweight title. You will also see Travis Brown versus Brendan Schaub on that card as well.
Teammates.
Yep. Yeah. So you got to love it, man. UFC 181 will be big. That, of course, is December 6th, 2014 at the Mandalay Bay Event Center in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Of course.
So that was UFC Fight Night, Edgar versus Swanson, guys. When we come back, we are going to talk about the bout last night in Macau, China between Manny Pacquiao and Chris Algieri. It is DMV Combat Systems. It wasn't a close fight, but we got to talk about it. So we're going to talk about that and also the future, what lies ahead for Pac-Man after his victory last night over Algieri. DMVCS in the Clinch. Lesson and Manny Z in the place to be. Make sure you are following us on Twitter at DMVCS. We'll be right back.
Fly life. Fly stuff, man. Yeah. Now when you talking about that fly life, this is what I picture. Sunshine, cruise by, Henny in the mixture. Thinking of the choices spurred on by the elixir. Rookies call me master, honeys call me mister. Riding out on sunset, pocket full of gold. Hands fumble with the perk roll, take a summer stroll. Heading out to Santa Cruz, cooling to Sublime. In the summertime, everything's fine if you don't mind. Go. Young is out in Cali, they rally, show me in death, love. Hook up with the homie, not phony when we get revved up. Mommy rollin' shotty, she told me just what her friends love. Okay. Hit the homie deal, he got money, yeah man, he fresh cut. California loving the county boys when we get right. Peep the shorties jogging, they working to get that thing tight. Let me get a Red Bull and hope it gives me wings. It's about to be a long night, let's see what it brings. This is the fly life, every single day. Got a swagger in my step like I just got paid. Hey. We just ride on by, 100 blast on the dash, we just slide on by. This is the fly life, every single day. Got a swagger in my step like I just got paid. Hey. We just ride on by, 100 blast on the dash, we just slide on by. Heading out on I-10, staying fly, friend. Houston is the next stop, ghetto boys riding. Rolling by Reliant, that's the home of the Texans. Thinking of these thick chicks, I'm eyeing Navy sexing. Crewed up and they showing my crew love. UGK out the subs and they slow it and screwed up. Chillin' and chop it up on the road to the A. I-20 to 85, it's a brand new day. Lounging on P Street, then the AUC. What up to my refugees from the DMV? What up? Hitting the Waffle House at 2:45. Done Woody the Doraville, then Decatur for trees. Green. Couldn't leave before we head down to the swap. Forsyth to Magic City with tip money to drop. Rain. Dirty South, but it's clean from the slab to the lane. Chuck deuces to put it down, another day in the dream. Yeah, this is the fly life, every single day. Got a swagger in my step like I just got paid. Hey, we just ride on by, 100 blast on the dash, we just slide on by. This is the fly life, every single day. Got a swagger in my step like I just got paid. Hey, we just ride on by, 100 blast on the dash, we just slide on by. Flying out from Moco, down to SoFlo, Juve with the massive Heineken and SoCo. I got my flag with me here, red, green, and gold.
What up, what up? We are back with DMVCS and the Clinch.
And the Clinch.
Lesson with the boy and the man, the boy and the place to be, Manny Z, as always, man. We want to thank you guys for spending time with us, man. Of course, we want you guys to hit our Twitter account at DMVCS tonight. We want to hear what you guys thought about UFC Fight Night last night. Let us know what you thought about the Pacquiao bout. And then also, your WWE Survivor Series tonight, the pre-Thanksgiving tradition, as we know it, Manny, now going on. Of course, you always know it's getting close to Thanksgiving time when you had the Survivor Series. I remember the days when they had Survivor Series the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was always like the thing because you always want to see who's going to be on the team this year.
Yeah, exactly. And
the Mega Maniacs and the Ultimates Warriors.
Yeah. You know, I went to the WWE Survivor Series when it was here in 1995 in the U.S. Air Arena, as it was called at that time.
Which is now known as the Boulevard.
Yeah, now known as the Boulevard of the Cap Center, no longer standing. Rest in peace to the Capitol Center, a.k.a. U.S. Air Arena, the home for the Washington Bullets. Also the home of the Caps, and then Georgetown basketball, and many WWE and boxing events as we know it over the years. That was one of them. The main event of that 95 series was Kevin Nash, as he was known then, Diesel, against Bret Hart in a no time limit, no count out, no disqualification match.
Oh wow!
That Nash had held the title for almost a year, pretty much a year in the WWE, and Hart beat him for the title. Now, he had gotten the title after Survivor Series when Bob Backlund beat Bret Hart the year before at Survivor Series.
When he kept coming out attacking and put him in the crossface chicken wing.
And then that was when Helen Hart actually threw the flag, threw the towel in, paying homage to when Backlund had a towel thrown on him by the legendary late Arnie Scollin against the Iron Sheik at, I believe it was then, a show in Madison Square Garden as well.
Well, yeah, Sheik almost broke his back.
Yeah, and 4 nights later, Kevin Nash then faced Bob Backlund. And this was right after Survivor Series when Shawn Michaels, for the last time, when Diesel or Nash was his bodyguard, super kicked him in a Survivor Series match when Nash was holding, I believe it was Razor Ramon, to be able to have him set super kicked or sweet chin music. And then, as it happened many times before, Razor Ramon fell out of it or Scott Hall fell out of it, and then Nash was super kicked, and that was the end of that relationship. And 5 days later, actually Michael was suspended not too long after that for one of his many problems that he had in his early days with WWE.
He had a cocaine problem.
Exactly. But Nash faced Bob Backlund, and get this, Manny, beat him in 8 seconds at Madison Square Garden. It was a kick, a jackknife power bomb, and a cover, and that was it. And he held the title for almost a year. That Survivor Series
Bob Backlund took a dub.
It was also the year that Dustin Rhodes, or AKA Goldust, made his WWE debut.
Oh yeah, his revamped bizarre image.
So that was very interesting. Now, back to better news at hand. More popular news, as you may some of you guys were wondering what I was talking about with Survivor Series a long time ago. Some of you guys are probably still in elementary school, but yeah,
or pre-K.
Exactly. So, Manny Pacquiao against Chris Algieri last night, Manny, in Macau, China. What we have seen now is the fights moving over there. We've seen the UFC have 2 big events over in Macau, and now boxing being held over there. This was a bout between Manny Pacquiao and Chris Algieri, the 20-0 Chris Algieri, who was from upstate New York. Attended supposedly the University of Buffalo. Now, Pacquiao won this fight by unanimous decision, knocking down Algieri 6 times. Did not get the knockout. A lot of people were pining for him to be able to get the knockout, but he did knock him down.
He still put the kid on his ass 6 times.
6 times. And the fact that he got up 6 times, give him some credit, man, because I know some guys get knocked down maybe 2 or 3 times, and they check out for the rest of the fight, man.
You and I both know boxing's not like it was when we were kids.
Yeah.
It's not like back in the night.
Exactly.
When somebody got hit, they stayed down. Now it's just, I guess they can back up.
Well, so that happened last night. It was a unanimous decision victory, sweep across the board. Now, of course, the talk is always going to move back, Manny, to Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather.
They've been talking about this fight for almost.
This is the fight they've been talking about for close to 6 years now.
Yeah.
And we've seen both of them fight in between them. Now, the thing that has hurt this fight is in between this time where this fight really started. The talk for this fight really started in late 2007, after Floyd Mayweather knocked out Ricky Hatton in December 2007. Mm-hmm. It has been since then through. We've had Manny Pacquiao suffered now 2 very big losses in between. First to Juan Manuel Marquez, knockout victory. And then he also lost a controversial decision to Timothy Bradley.
Yeah, I mean, the Bradley, that was a robbery. We all know that.
Now,
Marquez, that was a face snap.
Now, to his credit, he did avenge both the Marquez loss, and also the Timothy Bradley loss. Yeah. So now he sits with 6 losses on his now, I'm sure to say, Hall of Fame career. And now he is facing the one man that everybody says that they would like to see him fight, which would be Floyd Mayweather, who is undefeated. Floyd
won't fight him.
Yeah, I mean, well, Floyd will fight him if the money is right. We all know that Floyd.
It's not about the money no more. I mean, how much more money do you need?
We all know that Floyd has no problem with making more money, and he makes no secret of that.
I mean, he's on. I mean, Money Team, social media about it every day.
Money Team. I mean, the guy does stuff like on Insta, shows videos of him and the Money Team getting down. I mean, tables at Vegas, Instagram video of a stripper party that he had. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But I think Floyd, that's what he's motivated by. At this point, no one can question his spot in history. At this point, he just wants the money to be right. And, of course, he wants drug testing. He wants to make sure that he wants to have blood testing. And that has been the thing that has held this fight up probably the most, more than the money, because I think the money will be put up. Yeah. The network will be HBO or Showtime will put up, or will have to be Showtime.
Well, yeah, because HBO hates Floyd Mayweather.
Well, it had to be Showtime. That's who he has that's who he have to deal with. Mayweather does, and we know he won't fight on HBO. So
no, they hate
what really has helped this up is the fact that Floyd wants blood testing. He wants Olympic style blood testing because he wants to make sure folks are clean. Now, Floyd has gone through his career, and it's never been a question of whether he's been clean. We know he has been.
He can't even finish a whole Gatorade. He's so conditioned.
Yeah,
so I have no qualms about that. But
yeah, I mean, so we shall see. I mean, so it's a fight that everybody wants to see, and I think it's about time for them to at least try to give it to us, so that if this is going to be that's it, then that should be it for Floyd. Okay, maybe fight Amir Khan. And we know that it should, because that's the weight class. And
do I have to reiterate what Stephen A. Smith said in the studio? Nobody gives a damn about Amir Khan. Listen.
Yeah. Hey, look, I think Amir Khan has the type of style to be able to beat Floyd. But then so many other people have had the style supposedly to beat Floyd.
Exactly. I mean, we saw Sugar Shane Mosley came here it said I had the style to beat Floyd, but we saw what happened.
Yeah, so, and styles make fights, so,
yeah.
As they so say. So that was the boxing pay-per-view, Pacquiao victorious. We'll see what happens with Floyd Mayweather within the next year. I'm not holding my breath, though, and I won't look for it to happen, but hey, it should happen. I would actually buy that pay-per-view. And I don't buy any pay-per-views. The world will buy that pay-per-view. So that'll be the biggest payday in boxing history, no question, no doubt. No
question.
So we're going to come up on our last segment, guys. We're going to talk about a couple of stories we missed in the news about also two of the bigger fighters we've seen in the UFC over the last couple of years, George St. Pierre and also Quentin Rampage Jackson. And we also we'll talk about them when we come back. Final segment, DMVCS and the Clinch. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at DMVCS. Follow us on Instagram at DMVCS2. And Google Plus and YouTube, DMV Combat Systems. Check out all of our former shows there. The past archive shows, you can watch the episodes there. So, DMVCS and the Clinch, less than Manny Z. We'll be right back.
Oh no. Slasher, yeah. I decided to take some of the temper approach here. Yo, but I ain't even going first. Yo, get him, dog.
Bruh, I'm a damn soldier. What you say to me is not interesting, so I move you to the spam folder. My clan's bolder, y'all rappers can't flow without your ghostwriter raps. As far as skills, few hands colder. Plan to hit you with the Batman, you understand, Joker? I come to kill these animals. I'm a damn poacher on mics. You never been playing, forever you fame. Forever I'm ahead of the game. I never complain, I never took aim at lames who planes astray unless they come directly up in my shit. They get waved, I'm in the barber phase. Sit on my throne, you get a fade. Afterwards, I'm sitting while sipping on a glass of lemonade. This is my turf, I mean of course the music scene. By the way, I never gave a damn about your stupid jeans. To hell with the brand name and your champagne. Whack rappers giving MCs like us a bad name.
We on that old school 1-2 shit. We on that true tip hip hop music. Just let your head nod, hands up, loose it, top back cruising, feel it with your crew shit. Where's my volume? Where's my volume? Where's my volume? Pumping out my boom, where's my volume? Where's my volume? Where's my volume? Don't forget my boom. Now this is B-boy sparking, boombox marching, supernova blasting, attack of the Martians. B set the tone, now it's lesson with the arching. Bow and arrow marksman, target set marking. Game in the crosshairs, no dropping it down. Mic sign showing the end, cause it's apocalypse now. Thinking you niggas is fixing it, but your lyrics ridiculous. Ripping these flipping pitches indifferent and inconspicuous. Lesson in passage, you fucking bastards. His name, he set the passage. Niggas, they couldn't pass it. Faster and faster, like dumping traffic. We attack with lethal flows, you haters just couldn't fathom. Paper or plastic, the game wrapped it. And y'all fools just talking blasted. Rash records is ratchet. Get drastic, then we blast in. The usual suspects, that's lesson in P, just everlasting. We on that old school 1-2 shit. We on that true tip hip hop music. Just let your head nod, hands up, loose it, top back cruising, feel it with your
What up? It's Lesson with Manny C here in the place to be. DMVCS and the Clinch.
Checking out my boom box.
Yep. That's how we do, man. Each and every Sunday night, you can catch us here on WLVS Radio, ListenVisionLive.com. Worldwide is where you can catch us Sunday nights. We're wrapping up the show. Pre-Thanksgiving show. Again, we got to remind you guys we were going to be preempted next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. Make sure you will catch a great replay of one of our former shows next week, and we will be back live December 6th for December 7th. We will be back for the recap of UFC 181, Hendricks versus Lawler 2. But we got to take some time and let the turkey marinate, if you know what I'm saying. So that's what we do, man. Of course, we want to make sure you guys wish you again a safe travels to wherever you go on this Thanksgiving holiday weekend, and make sure you catch some good fights while you have it as well. Now, a couple of things, Manny, on the news section that I didn't get to. We were running out of time in that first segment that I want to go through with you now. There was an interesting comment made earlier this week by Kenny Florian. Of course, Ken Flo, the former UFC fighter who is now working for UFC Tonight, Fox Sports 1 in the UFC pre-game or pre-fight and post-fight coverage. Yeah. Does also with the host of fighters, Daniel Cormier, this weekend. Actually did some wrap-ups with the Count Michael Bisping. who was very good in his analysis of some of the fights. Doesn't change the fact that he's a blowhard, but, very good in his analysis.
He's always been an obnoxious loudmouth.
Yeah.
So I was glad when Hendo shut him up.
Yeah. But Ken Flo said earlier this week, he said, now, there should be no surprise to anybody about the beef or the fight, the fact that Nick Diaz, among the many things he said about George St. Pierre, said that he is scared to fight Anderson Silva. Now, the bad blood there is old news, but you may be surprised to hear what Ken Flo said earlier this week. He said that he actually agrees with Diaz. He said, I actually think he's right. He said on Wednesday on The Buzzer on Fox Sports 1, in January 183, Diaz will be facing off against Anderson Silva in his return to the octagon. After a badly broken leg he suffered in a title rematch with champ Chris Weidman in the middleweight division. Diaz recently told MMAfighting.com, he said that St. Pierre could have taken his place, but he didn't take the fight. He could barely say two things and he'd get the fight just like that, but he didn't want the fight. Now, the comment followed St. Pierre's statement that Diaz had made a mistake at agreeing to fight Silva in his natural class instead of at a catchweight where he had once contemplated a super fight. Now, Diaz, of course, had no love for St. Pierre before or after the 2013 title fight in which St. Pierre boat raced Nick to a unanimous decision. In addition to blasting St. Pierre's opinion, he insinuated again that St. Pierre had used performance-enhancing drugs, which Nick continued to prod on continuously. Now, Florian said, though he considers the now-retired Pierre to be the greatest champion in UFC history, he said he considers St. Pierre's fear of Silva a healthy one. He said any champion or fighter always wants the odds to be in their favor. For him to go up in weight at 185 and fight a guy like Anderson Silva, who many consider to be the greatest of all time, well, that's a smart decision by Georges. Georges wanted to fight more at a catch weight at 175 or maybe even at 170 where it would be in his favor. So was GSP scared? Yes, that was also what's made him one of the best champions of all time. So, interesting comments for Ken Flo to say that.
Yeah, but look where they're coming from, Lesson.
Yeah.
This is a guy, how many title fights have we seen him get smashed?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like...
Right, and this is the same thing with Nick Diaz as well.
Exactly, because he beat up all those Strikeforce guys, but we saw what happened when he jumped to the big leagues with his little brother.
Yeah, that was happened, but to say that could he have had the fight? Sure, he could have had the fight.
He could have, but we already know that.
But we know what GSP's stance on this whole thing is. He has always said that, one, because of the illness that he has and he needed to take time off to recoup, and also said that he wouldn't seriously consider coming back unless there were stronger drug testing regimens within the UFC and mixed martial arts.
I think it's 50-50. I think it's 50% of his illness that, him having the condition that he had.
OCD, yeah.
And I think the other 50% was because Johnny Hendricks beat him from pillar to post, beat him out of the stadium that night, and he don't want no more of that. And then he going to get in the cage with possibly the greatest mixed martial artist that ever put a set of gloves on and stepped inside the octagon.
Even though he is 38 years old.
Yeah, at 38
years old. GSP himself is 36.
Okay. But again, at 38 years old, still tell me who in the top 10 of the middleweight division could beat Anderson Silva.
Chris Weidman.
That's it. Who else? Lyoto? Michael Bisping?
No.
Hendo?
Vitor? No, nobody. But the champ is the one guy, and we know that if Anderson fights, he knows he has to fight now and he has to fight Diaz. But what he wants to do, we know Anderson wants to fight for titles. So he's got to find a way to be able to beat Weidman.
But I just think George St. Pierre doesn't want to become another highlight reel like he did with Johnny Hendricks.
Right.
Because we saw Anderson, even on a bad day with broken ribs. This is the same guy that beat Chael Sonnen, who was hopped up on roids.
Yeah, exactly.
Took him 5 rounds and still put him in a triangle choke and made him.
Well, and Chael Sonnen had to fight one. And was 2 minutes away from winning, and then he got slipped into the triangle choke.
Yeah,
so caught him. But we shall see what happens with that. Now Anderson coming back in January after almost a year layoff. Now the other story we want to talk about before we leave, Rampage Jackson discussing earlier this week that he may be open to a UFC return, and he said actually if Dana White was open to it. Now both Rampage and White this week suggested that a scenario isn't as far-fetched as many people may seem. After Jackson 35-11 in his MMA career, 3-0 in Bellator, he suffered 3 straight losses. The UFC released him in early 2013. Now, prior to his release, he was less than complimentary of the promotion. He said,
he was
signed with the rival Bellator MMA. He's 3-0 with a season 10 tournament title as a part of the joint MMA and wrestling deal, which included some brief work with TNA. Now, Jackson
don't remind me of that. Yeah. Jesus Christ, what was that about?
Now, Jackson appears unhappy with his new home and might be pining for days of the UFC. On Twitter this week, he said something. Now, he did in the past label the UFC a devil, Manny, and isn't exactly the warmest sentiment, but he did. Dana,
he didn't say that when that devil cut that check for that $8.8 million.
Well, you know what's funny is that Quentin saying, Rampage says that in an interview earlier this year that he thinks the UFC, while great, is the reason why he can't retire right now. You know,
because the money.
Yeah, and
it's guaranteed.
And I don't know how much of that is Rampage and his finances, how he handles them, or whether how much of that is the UFC. Well, we know they stiff fighters on checks. We know that
certain times.
Yeah, certain
but this
times.
is a marquee star,
yeah.
And you know how much he got from his last fight? $375,000.
Yeah,
tax free. Which he went into the casino, and you know in Vegas just like I do. I got a cashier's check. Here, cash me out, bro.
Yeah. Well,
what are you complaining about?
But anyway,
have you seen his house?
Dana said off the record this week. TSN's off the record. He said I like him. He's a Rampage and I have always had a unique relationship. All that stuff that goes on publicly behind the scenes, we squared away. Right. He's a good too. Now, during his time with Bellator, Jackson seen the change in management. He was the prize acquisition of Bjorn Rebney, and then Rebney was fired, and then
he got cragged on his day off.
And they brought in Scott Coker. After the change, he considered retirement. He hasn't fought since that May win, a controversial one over King Mo, which prompted a heated post-fight press conference. So now he wants to come back to the UFC. So we shall see, man. So
yeah, it was a controversial.
So we shall see. But anyway, we got to wrap the show up, guys. We want to make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at DMVCS. Again, we are off next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. Be back again December 7th for the recap of UFC 181, Hendricks versus Lawler. We want to make sure we wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving and safe Thanksgiving holiday. And we'll see you guys again December the 6th, man. It's Les and Mandy Z in the place to be. We're out, and we'll see you soon.
Peace.
Peace.
This game, your time. Is it now? Insane. This game for the crown. Is it now? Stakes high, put it down. This game, your time, put it down. Let's go. Welcome to the game. Now here's your starting lineup. Brought to you by E-Dub, official with the sign up. Hella 40 minutes pressure, Arkansas to Pine Bluff. Little Rocks with gangs bang until they fucking time's up. Fire like it's pre-game pyro. Ready off this hype and I'm high off hydro. Once the clock starts, then it's on to the minute. Ballin' like LeBron off the palm till I'm finished in it. Until the last second is spent. And I'ma play the point till you niggas forfeit to quit or offer to split. Critics talking shit like it's hands up and man down. I'm at the 50 with chin strapped to stand ground. Game time on my pulse racing like stock cards. 200 laps and I'm checking flag like a rock star. And give a damn what your thoughts are. W's counting them out, checking the bank like Bart Star. Are you in to win or just another pawn? I'ma keep it cranking hard till the break of dawn. Till the break of dawn. Count slow, stakes high till the break of dawn. Are you in to win or just another pawn? I'ma keep it cranking hard till the break of dawn. Till the break of dawn. Count slow, stakes high till the break of dawn. You hear the clap, get a round of applause. Fools shouting out their name to hear the sound of their